Hi, Fergal here, and welcome to A Frame of Mind. It's day 3 of the World Championship. First up this morning is the UK champion, Mark Allen. Mark, who's won 3 ranking events this season, comes in as the #1 player this season. He's never had such a good opportunity to finally win his world title. Surprisingly for Mark, we're talking about winning titles, he's only made the semi-final once, and that was way back in 2009. So he comes here with a poor Crucible record. In answer to the question, do I think, will Mark Allen ever win the World Championship? Absolutely. Going back a year or so, if there was any doubt as to why he wouldn't, you just felt, was his B game good enough? Would a bad session be 7-1 defeat as opposed to 5-3? Whereas the others, the likes of a Selby and O'Sullivan, great Crucible records, their bads are 4-all or 5-3 down. This year it's slightly different. Despite his success, you just wonder, will he score heavy enough? The last few months he's played very careful, carefree snooker, but also has it also just tightened him up a little piece. His average shot time has gone sometimes even as far as 28 seconds, which is not his natural game. In trying to be good, has he ruled out the possibility of him playing great? Mark Allen can win the World Championships, but he needs to be at his very best, and the most important thing in that is that he scores heavy like he has done throughout his career. If he does, he's a massive chance. His first round opponent is difficult, Fan Zhengzhi, who of course came to prominence last season when he won the European Masters and beat Ronnie O'Sullivan 9-8 and made a calm 80 break to win it. This season he's shown some progress and is going up the rankings all the time. And of course in the qualifying had 2 really good wins, the best being of course beating Stephen Guire 10-6. As I said before, and we've seen, debutants at the Crucible, you never really know how it's going to go. Again, I expect him to put in a really good performance. He is a dangerous player, but of course you have to fancy Mark to win. However, if it was Mark, I would have no complacency going into this match. The match that starts this afternoon is between John Higgins and David Grace. Of course, John, a Crucible legend, 4-time world champion. I rate him as number 3 in the greatest of all time, behind Ronnie and Stephen Hendry. It's been quite a disappointing season for John, and whilst he did win the Championship League, in the ranking events he's only reached 1 quarter-final. A couple of months ago he spoke about shortening his cue. Throughout his career, John, he's always been one for tinkering with his cue, changing the weight and the length. Maybe it's something he feels to do to re-energise him, motivate him to practice more. Hard to predict exactly how he'll do in this year's tournament. His opponent today, David Grace, has had a very good qualifying campaign. Had to win his first match just to stay on the tour and end up qualifying. Has been at the Crucible before, so should really be able to relax and enjoy a great occasion. David's been in the top 64 for many years, mainly because of his good safety game, good knowledge, good patience, as well as being a hard worker. However, he's never reached the top 32. I think that's because he doesn't generally score heavy enough. However, maybe he's addressed that issue because in the qualifying at 8-7 up in his last match, he finished with back-to-back centuries. David will have to be at his very best and score very heavy to beat John. That's why I think John will win today. A match that starts this evening is between Robert Milkins and Joe Perry. Robert has had by far the most successful season of his career. Not only did he win the Welsh Open, but he also won the Bet Victor Series and therefore a £150,000 bonus. Always been a very dangerous player, very attacking and fluent. Certainly the last few years he's added a really good safety game to his great putting, and finally he's got consistency in his game, which has resulted in his best season. Tough opponent though, of course, Joe Perry, very experienced, and of course he had that 10-9 win on the black, which relegated his good friend Mark Davis off the tour. Joe, good Crucible experience, of course, once he made the semi-final, losing to Ali Carter. And surprisingly enough, they've played 15 times and Joe has won 13 of them. Therefore, in a tough match to call, I'm going to sway to the head-to-head, and my prediction is that Joe Perry beats Robert Milkins. 2 matches that started yesterday and come to a conclusion today and Ding Junhui, Hussein for 5, and Mark Williams and Jimmy Robertson. Ding leads 5-4. Of course, I've tipped Hussein to win this match, and if Hussein does win, I think Ding might regret that he hasn't had a bigger lead going into that session, but I still stick with Hussein. In the other match, Jimmy Robertson started very well, leads Mark Williams 5-4, but of course the fact of Mark's experience and also the fact that Jimmy has never won a match at the Crucible, again, I still predict Mark to win. The first player that got through yesterday was the 2015 World Champion Stuart Bingham. From 6-4, he made 4 breaks over 50 to run out a 10-4 winner and continue that great streak of having never lost to Dave Gilbert. Yesterday afternoon saw Neil Robertson put in a fantastic performance to win 10-3 against Wu Yizi. The highlights, of course, were 2 1-4-6 breaks in 3 frames. Neil also has a record in the Crucible. He's had a 1-4-5, a 1-4-6 and a 1-4-7. And certainly if he keeps that level of play up, particularly that heavy scoring, he's going to be very, very hard to beat. 2 matches came to a conclusion last night. Luca Brissell beat Ricky Walden 10-9, finally breaking his Crucible duck. What's even more remarkable is he's had only 15 minutes practice in the last 3 weeks. Despite that, he showed great composure and bottle to make a great break to win in the last. A seed has been beaten for the first time. Jack Jones from Wales played really well throughout the match, fully deserved his lead from yesterday and fully deserved his victory. Great all-round game and great temperament, and beat Ali Carter 10-6. I'm sure we have another great day's snooker ahead. Talk to you tomorrow.